These games is just really dialing into the who you're playing against, and what position. We understand the multiplicity of scheme on both their offense and defense, so that won't change. So there'll definitely be a heavy scheme game as far as how they come after us. But obviously they've had injuries yesterday, so we're just really focusing on who's playing where and how we feel like they're going to line up against us.
Mike, Jory Epstein, Yahoo Sports. You talk a lot about how you like players to be able to do at least two things when you think about what they can do for the roster. Tony Pollard was effective in the receiving game yesterday. How much is that part of the value he provides you guys, and how do you decide when you do and don't want to use that aspect?
Well, I mean, I think the two-thing component's more about, players that are contributing outside of the starting position. I look at Tony as a starter, so and his ability just to run all aspects of our offense from not only the running back position but the receiver position obviously speaks to his value, and obviously his production has been extraordinary this month. So, but yeah, I mean, that answer your question?
Yeah. I guess on a similar note, Tony talked about how the play that he scored, the 68-yard touchdown, was something that y'all put in this past week. Is there more of an emphasis to get him involved in plays like that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a great route. It looked good in practice all week, and there's always plays you're hoping to get the right coverage, the right matchup, and him and Dak delivered in a huge way. So, but yeah, that's part of football. I think when you get into this time of the year, as much as you're still able to go back and we always call them training camp. Training camp plays, things we've been working on since training camp. And, I think really when you're able to still utilize a lot of the, not really the concepts, the particular looks and formations and stress points that you spend all your time in spring and training camp, that points to a good off season. So, and that's been a real benefit for us.
Mike Dodd with ESPN. I know he returned to the game late, but how was Micah's knee today?
Good. I haven't got all the information from the trainers, but he was in the meetings, and he'll be at the walkthrough.
When you go back to what Dak was able to do yesterday, 22 out of 25, do you look at those three passes and say he was almost 25 of 25 in some respects?
Definitely. I think one was clearly a throwaway. So I mean, we grade that as a win. As far as the decision making. So yeah, I thought he was extremely disciplined yesterday. Just went through his reads. The touchdown to Tony was the fourth component. It was a pure progression read, and comes over and hits Tony on the wide route, and obviously Tony finishes it there for a touchdown. So I thought Dak played extremely well yesterday.
Mike McCarthy, Dallas Morning News. Dak seems to be doing more with his legs over recent weeks. What dimension do you feel he's providing the offense with some of what he's bringing tonight?
Well, I mean, he's always played that way. I mean, I just think that Dak's anything Dak's really had to overcome, I would say, is just some his injuries. But I thought Dak was very smart with the football. When I said that, I thought he played very disciplined. I wasn't just talking about the passing game. I thought obviously in the run game and just dealing with some of the things that they were trying to do is particularly with their front. I mean, we talk about this time and time again. Schematic changes in the defense as far as the trends in the league. You're seeing a lot more fronts to formation in first and second down than normal. So with that carries to the quarterback position as far as how he has to be a big part of the run game as far as the checks and the ability to know when to pull the ball and when not to.
That check that he made on third down on the 11-yard keeper, is that a good example of just?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, I think it's really a good example of the adjustments that go on not only during the week but during the game. So I thought the communication all the way through, coaching staff to players, then coaches to players, and then players to players. I thought we were extremely dialed in yesterday. I was very impressed.
Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. How did Clark play yesterday? Obviously, you got a lot more time about
I'll be honest with you. I watched the first half of the defense on the plane and the first half of the offense, and that's all really I got through. And then, since I woke up, I've been on the Giants. So whatever grade you gave him, we'll go with it.
Calvin Mayock.
Who's that?
I call him Calvin Mayock.
Okay. There you go.
David. Mike, following up on Parsons, with where the game was, the injury that he comes off the field, how much of a discussion is there on whether or not a guy goes back into that game As long as he has medical clearance, is everything fine and it's kind of up to him, or how do you weigh that?
Well, I mean, I think got a couple different things going on as far as, not only just Micah, but the whole game yesterday. I mean, anytime a player, anything happens to a player, it's obviously the medical staff is the priority. And, then once they release him back to play, then obviously he's eligible to go back in. Second part, really, I don't know if I've ever been part of a regular season game that had that much, because, you're trying to get everybody in the game and play these players, but also you got to play special teams too. So, I mean, that's part of it. I think there's always a play or two that you go, oh, was that guy in there? But I mean, you have 48 players, and not only did we start playing other players, but we played them early. I mean, we start talking about it with I think 8 minutes left in the third quarter. So, so that's not as easy as it looks. So, I hope we didn't get graded down for that.
No, but I mean, a lot of times too, I mean, leaders, I mean, it's about the leaders of your team want to be out there from start to finish in
Oh, yeah.
good or bad times to be part of it.
I get it. I was trying to be funny. Sorry, I didn't pull it off. But
They
No,
get defensive over there.
yeah, who's that?
We get defensive.
Oh, you guys do. Yeah, okay. I thought you were talking about our defensive players.
Yeah.
No, but no, it's yeah, definitely want to play. I mean, those guys want to play, especially particularly when Minnesota was having to pass more than probably they wanted to, and yeah, so we get that, but I thought we regulated it pretty good.
Christy Scales, Cowboys Radio. How did Tyler Smith grade out at left guard in his first rep since preseason?
No, I was being serious. We haven't graded it, but he looked like he played well. I thought it was good to it's a combination we've been working the last couple of weeks, particularly in practice. So we're just trying to get him ready.
Just to follow up on that, is that something where you'd like to continue to get him a few snaps with the
Yeah,
rotation?
we'll see how the weeks go. Yeah.
Sure.
Well, yeah, I got one on that and one on another. How much of that does speak to Tyron Smith's return, and where is Tyron in terms of?
Well, I think it just speaks to the flexibility. Also, I was getting ready to move Connor to right guard for Zach too. So I mean, there's a lot of things that we're going into that. But I think Jason Peters, now that he's been here this long, so we wanted to make sure he was given some opportunities too. So we're just trying to stay ahead of this. Just have as many different combinations as we possibly can.
Dak talked about how he and Micah had a conversation Saturday night about chasing greatness. I'm sure those conversations happen more often than we hear about, but how important are those conversations between players?
I mean, I actually saw some of it. It was down in the snack, and it was, the part I recall is, it was Dak chasing Micah because Micah was kicking his ass in cards. So that was the greatness component that I saw. So I'm glad it carried over to Sunday.
You guys stopped the run against the Eagles, but it's something you have to do each week, certainly with the Giants. You just talk about the importance of
Eagles.
I'm sorry.
Okay, I'm
the
glad.
Giants.
Thank you, sir. I wouldn't have said anything.
Against the Vikings.
There you go.
But it's something you feel they're still going to test you. It's still something you have to do each
Absolutely,
week.
we'll see it every week. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. And I think really you watch New York play. I mean, this is they're going they've been trying to run the ball every week as far as a focus, and I see that not being any different come Thursday.
Got it.
How different is a Thanksgiving game plan from a regular week? Because it is a short week. Can you have as many plays? Is it tightened down? How do you go about that?
My experience has been it's clearly different, obviously, just in the time frame, the health of the players, which you're able to really practice. To be honest, some of it's the luck of the draw, and what I mean by that is, how many of the plays did you use from the prior week? We historically have gone in a little heavy in this past game, knowing that the Thursday game's coming. So you do want to have some carryover there as much as possible. So it does help when when you play the same type of defense or the same type of offense. So those are other factors in too. So, but yeah, you really have to watch that because you're really not going to get any full speed reps till probably Wednesday.
And I know rush and cover and all that good stuff, but what are your thoughts on Diggs' afternoon?
Rush and cover?
Well, how that helps each other and stuff. What are your thoughts on what Diggs was able to do?
Oh, I thought he played really well. I mean, I think just at the end of the day, I mean, you know, he's not getting a lot of action. So I think that speaks volumes.
Mike, Jonah Javad with WFAA. Really over the last few years, the guys in the locker room speak about how they come out angry and aggressive after a loss. They seem to play their best with their backs against the wall. It's probably like that across the league. But as a coach, how do you kind of harness that to play that way every week, even after a huge victory like that?
I'll say this. I think every game is a learning experience in which, you know, if you can clearly take from the last one and move it forward, it's a benefit. My personal opinion is when you have a lot of success, that's a bigger challenge than when you don't have success. I think just the innate ability and the wiring and the makeup of the professional athlete, especially an NFL football player, they're always going to respond. They've had to respond their whole lives. So a big part of their path is, you know, knowing what it feels like to have your back against the wall and respond. So, yeah, I wasn't really. I just thought really the noise, you know, going over there and playing as much as I have, it really makes you focus. You have to have a really high level of focus, and that's where I think that was a huge advantage for us. And I thought it played well with our team. And you know, we executed obviously at a high level, but I think just those kind of things is really what I focus on.
And in terms of but maintaining that, I mean, is there anything?
Well, that's a challenge. If you know, if you could bottle it, or if I could write the book, I wouldn't be standing up here answering these questions. So, you know, that's the beauty of our game. You know, no, I talked on some of those points this morning, and definitely we'll try to carry as much of that focus, you know, each and every week. But, you know, most important thing is just for all of us to realize, you know, what it did as far as, you know, dealing with that type of, you know, focus going in there, and you know, and maintaining that. Now we're playing at home, and you know, all the other things. It's Thanksgiving, and so there's other focal points that we got to make sure we are dealing with. But yeah, that's the beauty of lining up and playing every week.
We've spoken before about your depth at tight end, but having 4 of them on the field at once, that was something new. How unique of a group is this relative to what you've had in your career?
Well, very unique, excellent group, clearly. But I think it goes back to Jory's question earlier. What's wrong?
Huh? Right there.
I'm right here. You good?
Yeah, I thought someone was in trouble. Sorry. I'm good.
Okay, good.
Everybody's okay.
Everybody's good.
Everybody check yourself. Okay?
Huh?
Jose was yawning.
Yeah. Jose, you okay? All right.
Wow. Happy Thanksgiving.
You're on a roll, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I feel like it too. So yeah, the tight end group very, very flexible. I think it goes back to Jory's question earlier about everybody being able to do 2 things. So not only did they have the ability to play on the line, off the line, displaced, but also their contribution on special teams. So I love that about our tight end group.
Have you seen a coach draw an unsportsmanlike conduct penalty on another player in a game before?
What happens on the sideline stays on the sideline. That's
Mike, what happened with Anthony Barr on Saturday, and how much does that set him back?
we really right at the end of practice, you know, he strained it, and so you know, I think he'll be hard pressed to go this week.
Nui.
Nui Scruggs, ABC5. What did getting to 150 wins mean for you personally?
I met my daughter Izzy. You know, had a nice poster for me hanging on the door, so that was nice. I didn't think my kids knew that I coached that long. So yeah, it's you know, it means a lot. Frankly, I didn't realize that's where I was. Those are things I really don't look at. So, but it just really reflects, you know, the hard work of, you know, I've been a part of some great coaching staffs, but I've been fortunate to coach some unbelievable teams, you know, and obviously a lot of great players. So it's just really a reflection of that.
All righty.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got a bracelet and a poster from her? Or was Gabby the